Talking Art.
So, I'm looking forward to the day we get to do some work together in real time, in flesh and blood time, next to each other. Because I still think that the seed of what we planted years ago will come to fruition. Because I think there is something really beautiful about that. I do a lot of co-teaching. I have done a lot of co-teaching, and I think there's something really beautiful about that. Look at yeah, I still feel that is just going to happen.
I feel that too. I think that's just like inevitable. Like it wouldn't make sense for that to not happen.
Yeah.
If that didn't happen, it would be a major plot twist. It's like, we're going to stop Yana and Liz to like go through this whole journey together, and then plot twist, they don't work together. Like, come on. No. Yes. Absolutely.
I said to my friend a while ago, I was like, this is just basically it, really. I just, I really look forward to being like the grand dame in, like excellent outfits, still playing good music, still calling people in to create and dance, I'll be older, there'll be more wrinkles, there'll be excellent tailoring, it'll be fine, it'll all be fine.
Yes.
Surrounded by people cooking and cuddling and caring and crying and creating. All the C's.
And we do like the sea, don't we?
We do love the sea.
Yes. And I think that that's like something else that you've really just given me a real-time example of is how intrinsically woven community and art are.
Yeah.
That there isn't a separation. There isn't that they go together.
Yeah.
And likewise, like the music is not separate from the painting, and the painting is not separate from the dance, and the dance is not separate from the music.
Exactly.
It's all feeding all the time. And sometimes I can find myself getting into these spaces of like, okay, so is my predominant thing dance, or is it like my drawing, or is it my writing? And it's like, Yana, come on. Just like, come on, look at Liz. Like, look at your life, look at your childhood. Look, like, why this idea that there should be any separation?
Yeah, I think this is really beautiful. This an era shift is what I keep calling it. And I think we've been in this for a while, but I see that the beauty of liberating ourselves from definitions about who we are and what we should be by any given time. Like when I think about certainly from my parents' generation, what I witnessed and experienced was that there were certain sort of like things that you did on your life timeline. You got married at this time, you had your babies then, blah, blah, blah. And you identified as this, and that's what you were, and you kind of like stayed in this little kind of channel until like you died. Again, across time and space, I've witnessed all the different ways in which people have busted out of that framework, across cultures, across different eras. That part of me that sometimes likes to dress more like like more masculine, or like can be a bit what might be perceived as being a little bit sort of like more feminine sometimes, or like messing all that up, making a cocktail of ourselves, like saying, whatever, I wake up today, I put a feather in my hair and I wear braces, or like tomorrow I'm going to just walk around in my pants and, and I'm going to go collecting pine cones, or, we really get to play around and break those definitions. And in the same way with what we do, sometimes I'm a gardener sometimes, I'm a painter sometimes, I'm definitely being more like a listener and a healer or a whatever. I love that I don't have to say I am. I can move the dial.
Yeah.
According to how I feel and what I kind of sense into.
Yeah.
And that's a fucking privilege. That's not something that's available to everybody.
Yeah.
And I've had to kind of craft my life to be that. That's not something that, like, again, we don't just effortlessly move into this.
Yeah.
And it is for everybody to operate. Not everybody wants to work in that way.
Yeah.
I have met plenty of people who are just much more black and white. Either or. I feel like I'm just like it's just an ever-turning kind of like wheel.
Yeah. And that what that involves is like meeting all those parts of yourself and being willing to meet like everything that's there in relation to them. And I think that that's, you know, we're privileged in the sense that we have the capacity. We know that we can do that. Like,
yeah, to be able to do that, particularly when you like with shadow work.
Yeah.
Which is like basically bathing in the molasses of the self, because it doesn't feel like we're going to move through some of that shit when we're in it.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we know that stuff like syrup and treacle softens with warmth.
Mm-hmm.
So personally speaking, I know some folks find it weird, but I fucking love all that work, especially when I see people kind of engaging with that work and coming through, and I know you do.
Yeah.
I know you. I think you serve the world really beautifully with that, because until I knew that it was okay and normal to even have a fucking shadow.
Yeah.
Religion taught me that you had to just be good.
Yeah.
But it never taught me what to do with the parts of me that were perceived as bad.
Yeah.
Gabrielle's work, one of her brilliant phrases, you know, we turn our suffering into art. So and that's where it comes through, like in performance or poetry or whatever. And we're having the bravery to meet with that and to show ourselves at what might be perceived as our most dysfunctional, our scariest, and to still be able to meet ourselves with love, but to have teachers who are willing to see more than just the murk.
Yes.
It's beautiful. You know, thanks for working in this way. I see the impact you're having. I see the impact that you're having. How many people are emboldened by what you're offering. It's good.
Thank you. I think permission is the biggest thing. Like once we know that we can, once we know that we have the tools, once we know that it's possible, then the only thing missing is the permission. It's like giving ourselves the permission to become whatever that might be, and also giving others the permission to step into that, giving others the permission to witness that, giving others the permission to suddenly like have their constructs of who we are potentially broken down and rebuilt in some way. You know, the whole like, you've changed. Yes. What do you... Can you imagine meeting someone and being like, you haven't changed one bit? That would be freaky.
Yeah. I agree. It's great. It's a great conversation, this, because I remember saying to someone, but that's like expecting me to still be wearing the same fucking shoes I was wearing when I was 9, you know, like.
A bit worn out, I'm afraid. And they don't quite fit.
Yeah, this jumper's too tight. That's why I wear baggy clothes, Yana. Loads of room.
Not change. That means not growing. It means nothing ever, 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 ever moving. Oh my goodness, no, please. Oh my. Can you imagine creating art about the world that doesn't change? That would be a cool story to like write.
Oh Lord, there would be a lot of hard materials on the set, wouldn't there? Like metal.
Yeah.
But you know, like even when you sit on a stone is very hard, and but it does change over time. Everything changes over time. But again, God, we're back at time again. We have a very limited view of what time is, don't we?
Yeah.
And one day I was walking, and I was up on the moors on this high ridge, and I found a fossil. In fact, it's here. So this is like the highest point on the moor, and this is it's called a brachiopod.
Oh yeah.
And this is like 180 million years old. So I spoke with Chris Boylan. He's studied geology. And basically it's like from the seashore, but there it was up on the moor top. And one of the things I learned about them, I found this just at the beginning of lockdown. So we've been on lockdown for like 2 months now. And one of the things that I found about it, like in the early stage of lockdown, I went to a really, really quiet place. I was really still. And I was like moving like slower than a snail. But what I learned about these creatures was that they used to sit at the bottom of the sea, really, really still, not moving, and all life would move through them. And that would be how they received their nourishment.
Wow.
So I love this. This has been like my little totem for this time of like, because we live in a world that really values productivity, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And evidence of productivity.
Yeah.
And we can't help but be affected by that, even though we're working in sort of more subtle and mysterious ways. And again, it's like, message from past to future.
Yes.
We still let all life move through, you know?
Yeah.
So I found myself doing a lot more, finding quiet places in nature and just letting the soundtrack of the birds singing or the wind just influence the way that I moved. And yeah, it's very easy to just kind of space myself out when I start talking, I have to admit.
But that's the beauty of it. Like even a conversation becomes everything that we stand for and everything, like, and I love that. Like I wasn't sure what this would be. And I love that I just let myself open myself to it, like rather than it being, okay, cool, so we're going to do like a formal thing, and it's like, hi, welcome guys, and so for the listeners, and it's like, no, I don't want to talk to the listeners. They're listening. I want to talk to you, and you know who you are, and I know, and people listening can gather that from the conversation.
I don't know who I am, darling.
Well, you know that you don't know who you
are. I feel so grateful. I feel really grateful to have so much love in and around me, you know. Yeah, I feel really grateful. And that
the way you give it. It's the way you are it. Yeah. I never forget the story of you. You came to us at Musicport and you told us about the conversation you'd had with the pianist.
Which pianist?
There was a guy who played piano, and you were like, apparently he's like a very serious guy. Do you remember?
No, tell me, what did I say?
Apparently there'd been this really serious guy at Musicport. He was a piano player, and you're like, oh, so you know. So what kind of music do you play? And he's like, oh, I play everything. Like, and he was quite serious about, like, he plays anything on piano, and he's a piano player. And you were like, I can't remember his name, but imagine his name was Fred. You told me that you're like, Fred, can I ask you a question? When you're playing piano, do you ever dance? And the sincerity of this question, and he was like, in your description of the story, he was like, what do you know? But just like your softness and your love in those spaces, and the way that you can enter into worlds that it's almost like you allow all of the lines of like who people are and where they stand and where they sit to just dissolve, and you're like, I'm just gonna go and like explore. Hey, serious piano man, you ever dance when you play piano? Just like get up, dance. Like, that for me is like one like if I think of the quality of you in life, that story is like one of them. And I could have details of that story wrong, but that's how I remember it, and the quality of it is just like you're just like, hey, I have a question, and it's so innocent and so soft and so warm and so loving. It's not provoking from a place of like, this is a game. It's just like, you know, it's gentle.
Questions are good. Questions are really good.
Mm-hmm.
They're a nice way of connecting, aren't they?
Yeah.
And there's something about learning how to ask questions, and learning how to be asked as well.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the time, a lot of it's not always easy to be asked a question, because sometimes it can make us feel prickly or defensive, because it might mean that we have to review fixed ideas of things, or it might kind of like shake the foundation of who we believe that we are. But again, you know, like we were touching a little bit on shadow work, in the mirrors work I've done with Gabrielle Roth's work, some of the most powerful, painful points of transformation I've been witnessing other people bringing light into those places, and seeing just how much we share as humans, you know, the beauty and the horror of what it is to live within this kind of system of self, where we're just like, this part of us is just like trying to be good, I'm trying to be amazing, and then another part is like,
yeah.
And then all that are like discomforts and our awkwardness, and the places where we shine, the places that have not yet opened. And the beauty of us using the physical, as you well know, is that we get to articulate it in a very abstract sense. We're moving away from, as language is so heady, as much as we love it, it is caught up with the mind a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And when we bring the mind down into the limbs, it sends information back and elicits new wisdom that we can share with language. And how beautiful that we have this integrated kind of integrated moving systems. We're lucky. Again, not easy. It's brave to work in this way.
It is.
Very brave. Yeah, and boring as well. It's boring sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, like, oh God, there I am again. It's you again.
Go away. What you did? What do you want?
Not that again.
and there's part of ourselves that comes back, it's like, but I've changed.
Yeah.
Can we be all of it? Can we be all of it and none of it? Can we be the faceless human that can put on all the faces?
Yeah. Can we keep opening the door to let it all keep moving through rather than keeping it trapped and defining ourselves?
Yeah.
And there's when we talk about discipline, when we talk about keeping things moving, the discipline is in the movement, that we can actually keep offering it back to process, to momentum. It's not about necessarily getting up every day and doing the same thing, the same rigid kind of regime of exercises. It's about like, this is my understanding now, like, can I have the sensitivity to really listen in and pay attention and then be alert to what's going on beyond?
Yeah.
And to take it seriously and not too seriously. It's the whole duality thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we need both of those for truth. We need both of those. It's not about choosing between them. It's about fully seeing how we can bring them as close together as possible. One of my favorite sayings from the Artist's Way, or one of my favorite prompts is like, just show up to the page. Like, that's your only responsibility. What comes through is not your responsibility. And I use that so often for myself. It's like, for my online calls, for the stuff that I, teach to the sisterhood that I, have deep inner knowing, or wherever it is that I'm showing up to, whether I'm on stage, whether I'm performing, whether I'm writing my book, whatever it is that I'm choosing to do, my only responsibility is to show up. Like, that's my only duty. And what comes through from that, like, how much can I really control what that is? Like, my only duty is to open the door, and what that lets in, it's like, I don't know. I can't know. Really. When discipline is that, like, showing up and showing up and showing up and showing up.
There's some liberation in that like, oh, what a relief. I don't need to know. And that kind of like loosens the grip on that part of me that is like really that striving part of me.
Yeah.
I like when I'm at ease. I feel like that gives me an opportunity to accept myself. That's been that's a long road in a culture, and again, this is where I see the evolution within your generation. In the same way that the generation before me can see a liberation in the women that came through my generation. It's like the waves that keep coming through. And then some stuff that comes back, and it's like, did we not just? I thought we'd saw it. No, we haven't saw it. They have to come back and.
Yeah.
Again, to come back to this thing, we do this work for each other. But it's beautiful seeing. It's beautiful seeing young women and men be able to talk about their vulnerability, and to feel that there is a wider forum for that now, that to be vulnerable is not seen as a weakness. This is a conversation that never ends, isn't it? These kind of conversations, we'll be having these when I'm dust and you are a grandma. We'll still be talking. I know this.
And I also want to acknowledge, whilst this conversation is age old and has always been had and will always be had, in my reality, you paved the way for that in a really big way. Like, it was you choosing to step into that, even though there wasn't the forum for it, even though there wasn't the, you know, that as a reality around you. It was you choosing to step into that gifted it to me, not only on a mental level, but on an embodied level. Like, for you to bring that in made a difference to who I became. Like, those formative years were infused with a permission piece that was real, that was lived, that was experiencing, that wasn't just speaking the words hypothetically, but that was showing me what that actually means. And that, for me, is all the difference, that you handed that to me, and that I get that, not because I grew up and suddenly the people around me later on were speaking that, but because you showed it to me. And I know that Alice and Rowan and Ollie and Chakra will all say the same. Like, you gave that to us as an embodied gift, and that's such a blessing. So thank you.
Oh man, you're so welcome. I mean, it wasn't like a conscious thing. It was like just the joy of being around you all, and what you taught me, what you showed me, the delight in all of you. It's beautiful. It's so much. We had and still have so much fun together.
Yeah,
that's the root of it. Like, we made up our days.
Yeah,
we were lucky. We looked around. I said no to loads of things growing up. I looked, going back to what I was saying about what I witnessed some of the choices I witnessed in my parents, that I understand that the challenges of their era, and that they are fucking amazing people.
Yeah.
But I also really recognise the power of me being able, it was from them that I was able to then go, I feel like some of the stuff I've done is because of the spirit of them is really strong in me. The power and the love that they have for me.
I was going to ask, like, what was it that led to you choosing differently?
Both my parents are have got a strong connection to love and nature, and they care a lot. About people, and my dad, very strong connection to nature, and also they both have a really good sense of humour, and quite irreverent in lots of ways, which I really, really like. So, there was a lot of laughter, and then sometimes I feel the spirit of them both really strong in me. And I don't know what it was, I just had I can't really, I was just like really led by some kind of instinct, some call to wildness, really. But like really without any kind of map. So it has been like, it's been a bit tricky at times. But I think I've just really kind of followed feeling and found form. Yeah, followed feeling, found form. All the F's now. Had all the C's, got the F's now.
Followed feeling, found form. You could put that on a t-shirt.
You put it on a t-shirt.
I will. That's me.
Quote me, baby. Quote me. Yeah, I feel really like some of the ways in which they might have been really kind of restricted through some of the work I've done, I've really kind of opened. I feel like I've had to untie some ancestral knots, heal some ancestral wounds.
Yeah.
They didn't ask me to do that. They'd be just like,
Oh,
what are you about? What you want about? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, in another time, I'll tell you more about. I'll speak more of this to you in a face-to-face fireside situation.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah,
I'd love that.
yeah. Yeah, I'll hold your kids, and we'll talk more of that.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
All of them. How's your husband? How's Mr. Yana?
He's good. He's really good. Yeah. I've been watching loads of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh yeah.
And,
You've been dressing him up?
Well, I haven't. But I was like, hey, I want to do your makeup. And he's like, I'm like, hey, if we go out and we buy you dresses and heels, oh no, that was it. So I was watching it, and there was like he was like, oh, did you know that I vogued one time? I was like, you did not vogue. What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, I vogued. I'm like, no, you didn't. Like, what? How do I not know this? Tell me this story. And he's like, yeah, he didn't end up performing, but he was dragged into a production where they like missed someone. And he was like, yeah, I was practicing in heels. I was like, you were voguing in heels? Like, what? Like, and I was like, if I bought you heels, would you wear them? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, if I bought you dresses, would you wear them? He's like, yeah. I'm like, can we go shopping to buy heels and dresses for you? And he was like, yeah, sure. I was like, oh my God, I'm more excited to buy you heels and dresses than I am to buy me heels and dresses. So we've agreed to go and buy him heels and dresses when we're able to, when shops open again. Yeah, which is fun. It's really fun. We're good. There's a lot of laughter, a lot of play, a lot of lighting a candle and having a conversation and hashing things out. And, you know, someone watching a video and going, okay, cool, should we set a container to like unpack this? What are our thoughts on this? Okay, but like, what if this and what if that? And just really like, yeah, enjoying life together, snuggling, snuggles, like, hey. And there's a beautiful thing that's happened recently, which is that I've done enough work around men and my expectations of men for his inner child to come through all the way. And so like when he comes in and he's all like childish, it just brings out my child. And we end up just skipping around the house together and having a great time and holding hands. And then we go to the kitchen and we cook together. And then we just like, and we just get stupid. We get silly together. Yeah. And yeah, like there's always been a bit of that between us, but it's been coming in way, way, way more. And just this like, yeah.
You've got some years under your belt now though, to you two, haven't you? How many years now have you been together?
Coming up 7 years.
7 years?
Yeah. 7 years in July that we've been together. So we met when I was 20 and got together when I was 21.
Yeah, I look, 7's a great. 7's a good number. I don't know why I think that. I'm not really into like the numerology thing, but like, yeah, 28's a good one. You've been together 7 years. Yeah, 7. Yeah. Yep, new era. Yeah.
And then we'll have a chat and they'll be like, oh, how many years now? 10. Yeah, 10's a good number. Yeah, 10's great.
Yeah, 10.
Like, how many years now? 11. Yeah, 11's a great number. 11's brilliant. I don't know why. 11's really good. Because Yana, so he shared this thing with me. He was doing a play a while back where he had to do the same play every single night for I think 3 or 4 weeks. And he said that like it kind of gets a bit tedious sometimes having to run the same lines to an audience and the same jokes, and it was a comedy. And so he was like, do you know what I do? I just decide that every single bit is my favorite. So he's like, oh, this is my favorite bit. Yeah, and I really love it. Oh, this next bit is my favorite bit. He just like makes every single part in the show his favorite part of the show. And then he loves it.
It makes me think of like how dogs are. You know, like dogs are just like, oh, we're going for a walk. Oh, having some food.
Yes.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I've taken that since, and I apply that as well. I'm a bit like, oh, I don't have the energy. I'll be like, oh, this is my favorite bit. Oh my God, this is my favorite. This part's my favorite. Oh, and this part, like, and it just brings everything to life in a whole new way.
Let's put a little bit of joy on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And often that's just choice. Not always.
You think?
Not always, but I think often it can be.
Yeah, sometimes maybe not so much. No, maybe not so much now. I don't know whether I don't know what that's about, but I remember I used to think, like, when people talked about like choosing happiness or just like, but sometimes I choose not. I choose actually to wallow, or I choose to choose, like this. Sometimes there's real, especially like if we're interested in authenticity.
Yeah.
There's the can I surrender to the fullness of this feeling? So I like the kind of worked with a wonderful teacher many years ago called Louise Warner, and she used to talk about grossing things out, or like making an absolute caricature of it, which actually is very similar to the mirrors work I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Where you just make this huge big deal about whatever state you're in.
Yeah.
And then there is something about like making it kind of like really filling it with air and making it bigger and bigger that kind of just also helps with the kind of the trajectory of the feeling,
Definitely.
the trajectory of the expression, because it can't stay out there for so long.
Yeah.
Everything eventually contracts. Everything's kind of moving in and out all time.
Yeah.
Again, you know, the beauty of everything being in motion.
I agree with that completely. I agree with the idea that, you know, we're at our healthiest when we give full permission for everything to just be expressed, not be expressed, fully or not. There's a phrase that I use in Deep Inner Knowing called, we call it burning the measuring stick. And it's just no such thing as too much or not enough. And even if there is, let's burn all the ways that we can measure it, you know, and just be.
Yeah, it's vital.
Yeah.
And I think that same measuring stick that's the same rod that we use to beat ourselves up, isn't it? So I think when I think about that, think about the yardstick or whatever you want to call it. I love that, Yana. That's great.
Burn it.
Make some good fires with all of them.
You should actually burn a measuring stick.
Yeah. We could do something where like when we work together in real time, if we do some stuff in where we could set up like a little quest, couldn't we? And part of one of the quests could be sending a group of people off into the woodland to find the stick that they use to beat themselves, to find a stick that they use to measure themselves or compare themselves, and we use that then as fuel for to do some kind of ritual with fire.
That's so interesting.
And
yeah, you just brought to mind, like, so Nyeniso grew up with beatings, like with hidings, and he used to actually go to the bush and like pick his own stick, pick the switch, and then take it to his granddad, and his granddad would give him a hiding with the stick. So it's just like you speaking about going into the wilderness and like choosing the stick. I was like, wait, hold up. There's just things lining up there.
Yeah, and we could use the ash from the fire the next day to make some kind of paint as well.
Yes, I love it.
I mean, I love, fucking hell, we've got stuff to do.
We have. Should run a retreat. Let's run a retreat. Yeah. I'd love that. I'd absolutely love that. And I know how important that is.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
And all the things.
All the things. I think we've reached a good point at which to complete our little circle.
I feel that too.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just put this little finger to. I love you. I
love you.
I love how it doesn't matter that we don't connect like this very much, because I do always feel in touch with you.
Same.
And feel really close to you, and I'm watching you from afar and very near.
Yeah, feeling you close, feeling you present, and just knowing that the time will come, and it already all makes sense, and it's already happening, and it will happen, and I love you.
Love you, darling.
Thanks for the conversation. Speak soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Mwah.